Greetings, family. Empress D in nature. I hope everybody is getting a chance to soak up the vitamin D. It's so wonderful out here. Love yourself enough to take some time out every day to just experience a natural environment. Just you and your thoughts, family. I'm going to encourage it every day. And my voice is going to be permanently hoarse because of my coaching, okay? My track coaching, okay? I had track practice last night, so the voice is hoarse. Anyway, and that's following like practice on Tuesday. And we had a big old track meet Saturday, Sunday last week, and they did so amazing. But anyway, family, I feel the need to speak on this trauma issue. Now, I know for a lot of people, it's probably really an abstract term. You hear trauma, it's just nothing concrete. There's no way to really quantify it or really, it's not something concrete. It's not like a TV where you can say, okay, I know what a TV looks like. Trauma is like, it's somewhat abstract because it can be so diverse, right? But anyway, so I wanted to talk about how the brain handles a traumatic event. And there's various ways, right? So when we're young, and that's why 0 to 7, when you think about it, the brain is like, oh my goodness, it's like a empty, it's so malleable, it's so fresh, it's so shapeable. And so those years are those formative years where you form your views on the world in those 7 years. And that's why those 7 years are so important. And that's why the traumas we experience in those early years are so significant to our core beings and who we are, right? And how those 7 years and those core beliefs about ourselves, when they were instilled in those years, they play out in our adulthood, right? And so that's why it's so important to address it. But back to trauma and how the brain processes it. When you're really young, when you're really small, you don't know much about the world. So if you're experiencing something that feels adverse, it feels painful, it feels yucky, it feels not wrong. Because we all have those feelings when things feel right and things feel wrong. And we had as little kids too. We're just born with it. And when, as a child, you have to experience those uncomfortable feelings or bad feelings, especially at the hands of somebody that's supposed to be caring for you, the brain doesn't know how to reconcile it. So it kind of fragments it or blocks it off and corners it off in the mind and just encapsulates it, right? Kind of secludes that thing. And I know it probably is not clear. So let me use a specific example. Okay. Let me use the example of being a 3-year-old little girl witnessing the violent murder of her mother, right? That little girl is just imprinting on this planet. She doesn't know what's normal. She doesn't know what's right, wrong. She doesn't know anything. It's being implanted and imprinted on her those first 7 years, right? And so she witnesses this traumatic event and, subsequently is not in the care of good individuals who are going to tend to the mental health of this child who's experienced this traumatic event. Fast forward 20 years. That traumatic event is going to show up on how this now woman shows up on the planet. It's just what it is, because that traumatic event happened in those formative year period. And so what I'm trying to say is how that little girl will cope with another experience that brings on those kind of feelings in the future may not be in a typical way where somebody that hasn't experienced that type of violence in their imprinting years, because they haven't had to cope with it. So this little child doesn't have any coping skills, doesn't know how to go to nature, doesn't know how to meditate, doesn't know how to journal. And so the child does not know how to deal. And if you don't have adults around you that are obviously very, very intentional about the mental health of their children and their actions and how the impact is on them, that child's doomed, right? And it's that serious and simple, right? And it's pretty tangible. It's a pretty exact science, right? And so that's why it really is important to address ourselves, our histories, our pasts. Like I will tell you this, not addressing, oh my. And it's so true. And I can tell you, even in my personal experience, not addressing issues that you need to address will impede upon your progress. Straight Goods family. So, all of that long-windedness to say that trauma's real. Some people want to use different terms. It doesn't matter. It's whatever has happened to us in our life that it didn't feel good, we were hurt by, and we didn't know how to get over it. We encapsulate it. And imagine how many little encapsulations all of us have in our... Anyway, it's a real thing, family. And so that's why I encourage everybody to get on that journey of healing yourself, yo. Because, and that involves being honest about who you are, how you're showing up, and, asking yourself, am I happy where I'm at? Yes, no. Okay, if there's a few yeses, great. No, okay, why? Why am I here? And tracing it right back at your childhood. Just trace it right back. Trace it right back, and to see where could have things gone wrong as to why I ended up here. And in this exercise, there's nobody else that you are placing responsibility on this for. So we're not placing blame on anybody else. It's something that was within our control that we could have done differently, not to be here right now. Oh, family, I'm gonna continue my walk. Just wanted to share that with you guys, so just get real with yourself, huh? All right, thank you for taking the time to listen to this message. I love and I value each and every one of you. One love.